This young man rented a temporary old room deep in a dark alley, but it seemed that the room was not normal. From the very first days, he felt uneasy because of the strange behavior of the neighbors. Although he was very scared because he did not have enough money, the young man was forced to continue staying here. At night, strange noises came from the rooms next door, causing him to lose sleep. The young man began to suspect that this place was hiding a terrible secret. Although he called for help many times, no one believed what he said. From confusion, the young man gradually fell into panic and despair. He could no longer distinguish between what was real and what was an illusion. And then, the young man himself began to change. Jong-woo left his hometown to work in Seoul. Here, everything was strange to him. He asked his senior Jae-ho to help him find a job. Jong-woo hoped to have a stable life one day. As soon as he got off the bus, his computer screen broke. While fixing the computer, Jong-woo was also scammed of a large sum of money. He wanted to draw a lottery to make up for the loss, but he lost everything. Jong-woo now had very little money left. He started looking for cheap rooms, but Jong-woo couldn't find any. Finally, Jong-woo found a room within his price range. Here, he curiously asked the landlord why the room was so cheap. Mrs. Bok-soon, the caretaker of the boarding house, told Jong-woo that someone had died in this place, which is why it was so cheap. In order to save money, he decided to stay here temporarily, but the neighbors made Jong-woo regret it. Hee-jung was grumpy, Nam-bok was dark, and Dok-jong had mental problems. It seemed like no one in the boarding house was normal. In the small, cramped room, there was no ventilation or light. Jong-woo tried to adapt to this harsh environment, and he received a phone call from his mother. Jong-woo told her that he was fine, but before he could finish, Hee-jung knocked on the door and scolded Jong-woo for talking loudly on the phone. Seeing this, Jong-woo quickly apologized. After that, the communal bathroom of the boarding house made him even more depressed. Jong-woo had no choice but to go upstairs to get some fresh air. At this time, his girlfriend Ji-eun, who was working in Seoul, called to ask about him. Jong-woo tried to pretend that he was fine, but Ji-eun was just a low-level employee. Every day, she had a ton of work to do. Their date had to be postponed, and Jong-woo was in a good mood. After hanging up the phone, Auntie Bok-soon took the initiative to talk to him. Previously, the fourth floor was a female rented room, but after a fire broke out, it was no longer rented to anyone. She told Jong-woo to absolutely not go there, and he nodded in agreement after listening. When passing by Nam-bok's room, Jong-woo discovered that the wall was covered with sexy pictures, which shocked him. He also saw Jong-woo and stared at his room. Returning to his room, Jong-woo had a hobby of writing and started composing. Outside the dormitory, Dok-jong saw a girl and approached her. When she saw him, she was scared and quickly went inside. But Dok-jong's target was not the girl, but the stray cat. After that, Dok-jong took the free bottle of water back to the dormitory. Bok-soon discovered that he had cat hair in his hand. She asked him, but Dok-jong just laughed and said that he had just played with the cat. It seemed that the cat had died in Dok-jong's hands. After that, he went up to the fourth floor to meet Nam-bok. Nam-bok had an electronic handcuff on his feet. In Korea, electronic handcuffs are used to locate criminals on probation. He was definitely not a good person. Dok-jong and Nam-bok went to the end of the hallway. They were locking a man up here. Before Dok-jong could finish speaking, Nam-bok brandished the weapon in his hand and tortured the man. Jong-woo was sleeping when he was awakened by the noise upstairs. At this time, Jae-ho called Jong-woo to ask him out for a drink. Before going out, he went to the fourth floor to check what the noise was. When Jong-woo was holding the doorknob, Dok-jong shot him with a fake bullet. Jong-woo didn't care, but he was also not interested in seeing what was on the fourth floor. On this side, policewoman Jung-hwa also appeared. She received a report in a pile of garbage that smelled bad. Jung-hwa bent down to check and found a dead cat. She said that this was the 10th case of killing stray cats this month. The killer specialized in places without cameras. He must have been around here and was familiar with the terrain. Jung-hwa suddenly remembered the murder case 3 months ago that was similar to the current situation. First, they killed a lot of cats, then the murder happened. Back at the police station, Jung-hwa kept talking about the possibility of the cat murder case needing to be investigated, but her colleagues didn't care. Jung-hwa often had toothaches, which affected her work a lot. She was introduced by the police chief, so she went to Moonjo's clinic for a checkup. Moonjo's skills were very good, so he helped Jung-hwa solve her toothache problem, but his coldness was much better than Nam-bok's. That night, Jong-woo and Jae-ho sat down to drink. Jae-ho lectured him. Jong-woo didn't know what to say. When they were leaving, he saw someone fighting. He didn't listen to Jae-ho stop him, so he went to stop them. After that, Jong-woo returned to the inn. He stood in the hallway, not daring to enter that dark room. At this moment, a man suddenly appeared behind Jong-woo. His name was Gi-hyo, also a guest here. Jong-woo was scared by Gi-hyok's strange appearance and quickly ran back to his room. While he was packing, there was a loud crash upstairs, but Jong-woo didn't care. Suddenly, an eye was watching him through a small hole in the wall. Jong Jongwoo didn't know he was being watched. He cooked noodles to relieve his hunger. Suddenly, Hee-jung appeared from somewhere. This time he was friendlier and told Jongwoo many things. This apartment building had problems everywhere. All the free eggs that Bok-soon gave him were spoiled. Who knows what those neighbors will do. Hee-jung will move out next week. He advised Jongwoo to move out soon too. Pay special attention to the neighbors living next door. After finishing his noodles, he immediately returned to his room. In the hallway, Jongwoo was harassed by Dokjong, and then Nam-bok stared at him. This also made Jongwoo angry. He cursed at Nam-bok and slammed the door. Luckily, Jongwoo didn't approach him because Nam-bok was holding a knife behind him. If there was a fight, Jongwoo would hardly survive. At night, Nam-bok stood in front of Jongwoo's room, muttering a sentence of kill or not kill. Hee-jung in the room next to Jongwoo also held a knife. It seemed like he was on guard for something. Hee-jung suddenly discovered a fake bullet on the table. At this time, Jongwoo was having a nightmare and suddenly woke up. Outside, Hee-jung angrily questioned Dokjong for shooting fake bullets, asking why he entered his room. Dokjong did not admit that he entered Hee-jung's room. He was angry and slapped the other person in the face. Nam-bok also came out at this time. There was a noise in the hallway. Unexpectedly, there was a guy exactly like Dokjong appeared. He was holding a fake gun in his hand. This scene surprised Jongwoo and Hee-jung. Could it be that the other two were twins? Hee-jung felt fooled and prepared to teach these two a lesson. Gi-hyuk in the room next to Jongwoo also came out. He was very strong, so he easily controlled Hee-jung. Jongwoo now realized that this place was hell. When he was controlled, he could only give up, but Hee-jung still muttered that they were all in the same group. Gi-hyuk didn't admit it, but he only needed to say a word for everyone to quietly return to their rooms. This proved that Gi-hyuk had power in this dormitory. The next day, Bok-soon kept clinging to Jongwoo, saying that Hee-jung was about to check out. Now, there were only young people left here. Because he had to go to work, Jongwoo didn't care about those words. He didn't notice that Bok-soon's smile was a bit unusual. On the first day of work, Jae-ho introduced Jongwoo to his colleagues. First was department head Ko, then designer Yu Young. There was also Beong-min, who didn't like him very much. This person was the department head in charge of guiding Jongwoo. At this time, Hee-jung was lying in his room when he was suddenly attacked by Jong's brothers and Nam-bok. Gi-hyuk laughed and said that it was his turn, so he was the one behind this. Hee-jung was awakened by the noise upstairs, which turned out to be just a nightmare. He angrily went up to the 4th floor and found a foreigner at the end of the hallway. At this time, Dokjong knocked Hee-jung down from behind, while Bok-soon only raised her head when she heard the noise, then calmly cleaned up. On this side, Jung-hwa was still diligently investigating the cat murder case. Near the place where the cat was dumped, there was a dusty car. Seeing that, she immediately contacted the car owner to request a dashcam. Jung-hwa discovered a suspicious man in the video. The car owner told her that the bag the man in the video was holding came from the stationery store at the beginning of the alley. Jung-hwa immediately went there and found the suspect, who was Dokjong, who lived nearby. She asked around and finally found the apartment building where Dokjong was staying. Bok-soon heard that Jung-hwa came to find Dokjong, and it seemed that she knew that he killed the cat. She angrily called Dokjong out, and Jung-hwa later took him to the police station. But at the station, Dokjong kept pretending to be crazy, and she was helpless. Plus, the police station didn't care about this case. In the end, she had no choice but to let him go. Later, Jung-hwa accidentally discovered that there had been a recent case of a foreigner named Kumail missing, who had gone missing near that dormitory, and this Pakistani was the foreigner who had been tied up in the hallway. At this time, Dokjong's twins were threatening Hee-jung for fun. Later, the two met, and only one of them was actually laughing. The other was Dok-soo, who pretended to be mentally handicapped to commit the crime without being suspected. Jongwoo's work here was not going well, because Beong-min liked Yu Young, and she had a good feeling for Jongwoo. Of course, he would start to hate him. On the other side, Ji-yeon's girlfriend is the same. Work piles up like a mountain. Sometimes when she finishes work on time, she will be scolded by her superiors. Both Ji-yeon and Jongwoo have to bear the pressure of life, not being able to see each other. Compared to the two, Dr. Moonjo's life is much more leisurely. Not only does he have a good job, but also has a beautiful girlfriend. Jung-hwa comes to the dentist and feels extremely admiring of Moonjo, but his dark expression makes people shiver. That night, Jae-ho holds a party to welcome new employees. At the drinking table, he makes derogatory comments about Jongwoo's miserable past. Jae-ho laughs at his hobby of writing. Jongwoo was angry, but that was just his thoughts. For some reason, Jongwoo always had scary thoughts in his head. When he left, Beong-min warned him not to think that because he had a good relationship with Jae-ho, he could do whatever he wanted. At Hee-jung's dormitory, when Dok-soo was not there, he tried to escape from the ropes. Then Hee-jung called the police Cha. He said that he was attacked by a group of crazy people. But because the signal was not stable, Hee-jung did not know if the other side could hear him. He staggered away, not expecting Gi-hyuk to knock Hee-jung down from behind. Ji-hyuk blamed Dokjong for not watching carefully. It seemed that Dokjong was very afraid of him. Dokjong slapped himself in the face as punishment and then poured a pot of noodles over his head. Seeing this, Bok soon scolded the two of them. In front of these perverts, she always acted like she was not afraid of anyone. After the party, Jong-woo returned to his room and accidentally dropped his phone under the bed. When he picked it up, he found a diary left by a tenant. It was filled with similar content like "Go die." Jong-woo remembered that Bok Soon had said that someone in this room had left this world, and he immediately felt a chill. Jong-woo went out to drink a can of beer to ease his fear, and he sent a text message to Ji-eun. Jong-woo did not receive her text message but received a call from work. Yeong had previously assigned him a job, and the phone line asked Jong-woo for a pile of work documents, but he was dissatisfied and did not pay any attention. At night, policemen came to the apartment building. He was the policeman Cha that Hee-jung had contacted earlier. Bok soon took him to Hee-jung's room and met Dok-soo, who attacked him. Gi-hyuk stood behind and watched everything. Then, police Cha caught Jong-woo coming back. He learned that Hee-jung had a bad relationship with the tenants here. He even told Jong-woo to stay away from them. Police Cha only left his business card and told him to contact him if he had anything. Jong-woo returned and found that his package had been opened by Nam-bok. He went to find him to settle the score, but Jong-woo found that Nam-bok was watching an Spa Plus movie. He was speechless and could only go back to his room. Then, Jong-woo remembered that Hee-jung had said that he wanted to go back to his hometown to open a fishing pond. He hurriedly went downstairs to tell police Cha about this, but the person had already left, so he had to give up. Jong-woo did not expect that, at that time, police Cha was being ambushed by Kaeuk in the car. The two struggled fiercely. Just as Moonjo passed by, he saw the car shaking and curiously walked over. When Moonjo opened the door, Ji-hyuk saw him and was reassured that he was an acquaintance. Unexpectedly, Moonjo suddenly attacked Ji-hyuk. From that confrontation, it was clear that Moonjo was also a member of that perverted group, and he was even more sinister than Ji-hyuk. Ji-hyuk killed police Cha to silence him, but he did not expect that he would be killed by Moonjo himself. He had always secretly turned Gi-hyuk into a murderer. Moonjo considered murder an art. He despised brutal killers like Gi-hyuk. That night on the rooftop, Jong-woo called Ji-eun, who had just come home from work, telling her about the strange neighbors in the apartment building. However, Ji-eun was tired. She thought Jong-woo was imagining things too much, so she quickly hung up. After killing Gi-hyuk, Moonjo pretended nothing happened. He went up to the rooftop to talk to Jong-woo. Jong-woo asked why Moonjo kept looking at him and smiling. He replied that he had a good impression of Jong-woo, and Moonjo thought that they were the same type of people. They both liked detective novels, especially works by Raymond Chandler. The more Jong-woo told Moonjo about the crimes in the novel, the more interested he became. Jong-woo never expected that one day he would make his life worse than death. Returning to his room, Jong-woo discovered that his computer seemed to have been tampered with. Previously, the diary also mentioned that someone seemed to be able to freely enter and exit this room. Jong-woo immediately remembered the night Hee-jung suspected Dokjong of sneaking into his room. He tried to calm himself down and not think too much. Jong-woo calmed down and focused on writing. He was careless, and Jong-woo missed the chance to escape this hell. Nam-bok and the Dokjong brothers received orders from Moonjo. They had to throw the body out to the edge of the forest. Of the two, Duk-seo was extremely dissatisfied with these odd jobs. He seemed to have Moonjo in his grasp. It seemed that perverts in this boarding house had done a lot of bad things. In Jong-woo's room, he had a nightmare from his time in the army. When he woke up, he went to take a shower to wake up and coincidentally met Moonjo. Jong-woo conveniently mentioned the disappearance of Hee-jung and Gi-hyuk. Moonjo only said a few words to dispel his suspicions. He asked Jong-woo to go to the rooftop to drink beer. Tonight, he used the excuse of going to meet his girlfriend to reject Moonjo. When he found out that Jong-woo had a girlfriend, his expression was a bit strange. After taking a shower, Jong-woo felt very refreshed. He went to ask Bok Soon if the room here requires a room key to open the door. Right? She answered yes. Jong-woo accused Nam-bok in room sum by Isa-sen of always having the door open to watch Spa Plus movies. He reminded Bok Soon to be careful of him, Bok Soon patted Jongwoo's butt. Before going to work, Jongwoo was still a bit cautious, so he put some dust on the computer and took a picture. When he came back at night, he took out picture to compare and immediately knew if anyone had broken in or not. Jongwoo was indeed a disciplined person. Before going to work, he could even take a shower, talk, and do all sorts of things. On the rooftop, Moonjo told Doksu to quickly deal with Hee-jung in room 310. It seemed that Doksu was very afraid of him. Surrounded by perverts, Jongwoo tried to keep his composure and made an appointment with Jiyeon to meet him tonight. On the way, Jongwoo encountered a group of stray cats, so he stopped to buy them food. A man saw this and walked over, kicked the food box away, and scolded Jongwoo. The man was angry because he thought the cats were lured to make noise, causing him to not be able to sleep at night. Jongwoo was angry but couldn't say anything, just quietly left. It can be seen that Jiyeon and Jonghwa are two typical characters who are oppressed in society. Jiyeon is teased by her superiors every day. She works overtime continuously but doesn't get a raise. Even if she makes a small mistake, she is scolded. Even though she had a boyfriend, she had no time for dating. Jonghwa, although she was a police officer, was under a lot of pressure. When she noticed someone secretly watching the police station, she immediately became alert and remembered the missing person case. Jonghwa followed the clues and discovered that the stranger was the wife of the missing foreigner. Through their conversation, Jonghwa learned that Kumail and his wife lived apart due to the nature of their work. Before he disappeared, he called his wife and said that someone at the boarding house where he lived wanted to kill him. Jonghwa discovered the place where he used to live was also the place where the cat killer was currently living. At this time, Moonjo was preparing to attack Hee-jung. They not only tortured him, but also enjoyed watching his victim's begging reaction, enjoying the feeling of killing. Jongwoo had no idea that something terrible was happening in that apartment building. At the company, he continued to be scolded for not sending documents to reporters. Then he was scolded by Beongmin. This boss was both stingy and lustful, sometimes even stealing glances at his female colleagues. Jongwoo was also bored when he witnessed it. When Beongmin scolded Jongwoo, he imagined himself hitting the boss on the head with a document with murderous eyes. But that was just an illusion in his head. For some reason, Jongwoo often imagined such violent scenes recently. After work, Beongmin sarcastically said that Jongwoo didn't know anything, but still wanted to go home early. With no other choice, Jongwoo worked overtime and took the opportunity to learn more professional knowledge. Jongwoo texted Jiyeon to postpone their appointment to the weekend. At the same time, Jonghwa found the house of Dokjong's uncle. The uncle said that the two of them had been very strange since they were young, and once set fire to try to kill him. Finally, the uncle gave Jonghwa some things he had kept from when they were in the orphanage. Jonghwa brought the box home and discovered an old tape. She turned on the TV and saw the two children torturing a frog. The person who looked after them at that time was Mrs. Bok Soon from that boarding house. When Jonghwa saw this, she froze, her mind deep in thought. Late at night, Jongwoo finally finished work. He called Jiyeon, but no one answered because she was also buried in work. Jongwoo had no choice but to go home alone. Remembering the stray cat, he bought some food and left it on the side of the road. On the way back to the inn, Jongwoo saw the Dokjong brothers dragging a large and heavy bag. Curiosity got the better of him, so he quietly followed them. Suddenly, Moonjo appeared from behind, forcing Jongwoo to reveal himself. Despite his fear, he told Dokjong to open the bag and check. Inside was the corpse of the stray cat that Jongwoo had once fed. Dokjong laughed, making Jongwoo's hair stand on end. Panicked, he ran back to his room. That night, Moonjo invited Jongwoo to drink beer and eat grilled meat. Jongwoo ate but found the taste strange, while Moonjo enjoyed the meal. His expression scared him to death. Moonjo asked Jongwoo if he was afraid that this was human meat, and he smiled pervertedly. He was scared, so he made an excuse to go back to his room. After Jongwoo left, Bok Soon sat down to enjoy it, and she said he didn't know how to appreciate the taste. Bok Soon even complained about adding some MSG. Moonjo said she wanted to keep the meat delicious. The two looked at each other and laughed wildly. Jongwoo went back to his room and checked the photos from when he left for work to make sure no one had broken in. When he was reassured, he remembered Moonjo's strange expression, and Jongwoo used it as material to write a novel. At the same time, Dokjong and Doksu were driving at night without turning on the lights. Jonghwa discovered it and asked them to stop the car for inspection. Unexpectedly, when she got closer, she saw on their hands the same watch as the missing foreigner. Jonghwa suspected the two and asked to open the trunk to check. Doksu saw that the police car had only her in it and no one else with her. He signaled Dokjong to prepare to block the front and back. At this time, the police sitting in the back seat got out of the car. Doksu panicked and told Dokjong to drive away immediately. Although Jonghwa did not say anything, she had suspicions that these two people had a problem. The next day, Jongwoo dreamed of a soldier standing next to Moonjo, his mouth still muttering the words cannibalism, he woke up sweating. Although he did not say anything, Jongwoo's every move was always monitored by Moonjo. Before going to work, Jongwoo sprinkled a thin layer of dust on the computer keyboard to check if anyone had sneaked into the room. While walking down the hallway, Jongwoo saw Nam Bok standing behind him holding a knife, his mouth still muttering that he wanted to kill someone. Jongwoo was both angry and scared, but in the end, he had to endure it. At the same time, Junhwa came to the boarding house and coincidentally met Bok Soon, who was about to go out. Bok Soon said she was going to help the elderly living alone. Then Junhwa showed Bok Soon a photo of the missing foreigner. She confirmed that he was the tenant of room 303. She immediately asked more about the disappearance. Bok Soon said that she was the one who called the police. Jongwoo passed by and heard it. He felt strange because Bok Soon had said that the tenant had left this world on his own. Why did they tell two different versions? When Bok Soon had just finished speaking and was about to leave, she discovered Jongwoo hiding behind a wiretapping pole. He was startled, pretended to turn back to look for something, and then hurriedly left. Then Junhwa called Jongwoo back. She said that in addition to Kumail, there was also a person named Hee Jong who was missing. A police officer who had come to the boarding house to investigate him had also disappeared. The strange things that happened one after another made Junhwa suspect that there was a secret here. Jongwoo said that if he could find the business card of Police Cha, he would send his phone number to Junhwa. Jongwoo then got off the bus and hurriedly took the bus to work. Bok Soon witnessed everything from afar. She then approached a woman and invited her to the dormitory. She immediately agreed without knowing that she was walking into a trap. Bok Soon was very enthusiastic in treating her. After a while, the woman fainted from the anesthesia. When she woke up, she was panicked and found Nam Bok sharpening a knife. Bok Soon stood behind her with a sinister smile. It turned out that the woman used to be her colleague, the woman who used to bully Bok Soon for eating too much. This time they met by chance. She was determined to take revenge. On the other side, Jiun had something to do near Jongwoo's company. Since they hadn't seen each other for a long time, she went to his company to see him. After Jongwoo helped Jiun go home, on the way back to the company, Jae-ho sarcastically said that Jiun had made Jongwoo angry. He immediately said that he was too sensitive. During lunch, the TV news reported that a body had just been discovered on the mountain. The victim was Hee Jong, who was killed and disposed of by Nam Bok and Dok Jong's brothers. Jae-ho picked up a piece of meat and invited Jongwoo to eat more. As soon as he saw the meat, Jongwoo immediately remembered the box of meat that Moonjo had given him the other day. He felt disgusted and ran into the bathroom to vomit. Bongmin followed him and sarcastically said that Jongwoo was a weak man. After he left, Jongwoo stared at the mirror. Jongwoo gritted his teeth in anger, imagining Bongmin being killed. He even had hallucinations of Nam Bok, showing that Jongwoo's hallucinations were getting worse. When he returned to the dining table, Jae-ho made fun of Jongwoo. Renting a room in a shabby place, he was extremely embarrassed and could only grit his teeth and endure it. After lunch, Jongwoo asked Jae-ho not to mention renting a room again. Unexpectedly, Jae-ho lectured him, saying that Jongwoo was ungrateful to his superiors. After saying that, he angrily left. Jongwoo tried to endure it once more. Later, Jongwoo went to the rooftop, took a photo of Police Officer Cha's business card and sent it to Junhwa. Jae-ho overheard Jongwoo mention the police and asked. During the conversation, he asked him to smile to show respect to his superiors. Jongwoo imagined strangling Jae-ho, but in reality, he still tried to hold back. Near the end of work, Beongmin continued to mock Jongwoo as usual before leaving. Left alone, he started calculating his expenses. Jongwoo discovered that he only had 250,000 won left each month. Jiun's situation was no better. She had to listen to scolding and work overtime until night every day. On the other hand, Junhwa's investigation was at a standstill. She called the police but couldn't get through, so she went to the investigation team and was told that he was on leave. With no more clues, Junhwa took the opportunity to go to the dentist. Then she went to Moonjo's clinic when it was dark. The staff had finished their shift, leaving only Junhwa and Moonjo. She mentioned the recent cat murders. Junhwa suspected that it was related to someone in the dormitory. Moonjo immediately had the idea of killing her to cover up clues. He used the excuse of going to find medicine, but in fact was preparing a weapon. Luckily, his superior called and asked Junhwa to extract the surveillance camera. Moonjo was forced to give up the idea of killing someone at the last minute. On the way home, Jongwoo discovered that the cat food box was still in the same place. He wondered where the cat had gone. Jongwoo called Jiun while she was having dinner with her co-workers. He complained about the weird neighbors. Jiun thought Jongwoo was just exaggerating and told him not to get bullied in the office. Their relationship grew more distant. When she returned to the lodging, Bok Soon warmly called Jongwoo over to invite him for coffee. She also asked if he had heard the conversation between Bok Soon and Jongwoo. Jung-hwa that morning, as if to warn him. She told him not to meddle in the matter of the missing person. Jong-woo pretended to agree to let it go. That night, Bok-soon told Moonjo that the hallucinogenic drug was taking effect on Jong-woo. She intended to make a move against him, but Moonjo didn't care much and instead asked why Bok-soon had killed that woman. The atmosphere between them grew tense, filled with a sense of imminent danger. Although Moonjo still acted kindly, sooner or later there would be a conflict between him and Bok-soon. At that moment, the three perverted murderers Nam-bok, Dok-soo, and Dok-jong stood outside Jong-woo's room, weapons in hand. They could break in at any time. Jong-woo had just finished drinking the coffee Bok-soon had given him, and his mind immediately became dizzy. Finally, Jong-woo fainted, hitting his head hard against the wall. A backpack hanging on the wall fell and struck his head, waking him up. Jong-woo sat on the bed, dizzy. In the next room, seeing the scene, Moonjo smiled creepily, looking more perverted than ever. He went outside and whispered something into Dok-soo's ear. Dok-soo recalled a conversation with Moonjo a few days earlier on the rooftop. He had asked Moonjo if he intended for Jong-woo to replace Gi-hyo, but Jong-woo could not replace Gi-hyo. He was not qualified to become Moonjo's experimental subject. Moonjo only replied that one should not judge a person by their appearance. The three perverted murderers stood silently in the hallway, their eyes meeting without words. At that moment, Jong-woo became alert and discovered signs that his computer had been hacked. Angry, he immediately went to find Bok-soon to request a security camera check. If the three killers had still been standing there when Jong-woo opened the door that day, he probably wouldn't have survived. Bok-soon was forced to show Jong-woo the footage from the cameras. In the footage, he clearly saw Nam-bok opening his room door. However, at the crucial moment, the camera signal was interrupted. Jong-woo was furious and ran to find Nam-bok to confront him. Since the first time they met, Nam-bok had always looked down on him. Jong-woo tried to stay calm, but suddenly a laugh echoed. He turned around and saw Ji-ha, but upon closer look, it was Moonjo. At the moment Moonjo stepped out, a group of neighbors standing behind looked at Jong-woo as if they wanted to tear him apart. He suddenly understood the feeling of Hee-jung being isolated and screaming in despair. Seeing this, Jong-woo went back inside his room. Moonjo then knocked on the door and invited him to the rooftop to talk. If it were anyone else, they would surely refuse, but Jong-woo agreed. On the way past the fourth floor, he heard strange sounds. Moonjo tricked Jong-woo that it was the sound of the cat belonging to a female guest he had kept before. In fact, it was the woman imprisoned by Bok-soon crying for help. When they reached the rooftop, he asked why he got angry earlier. Jong-woo said he suspected Nam-bok had sneaked into his room. Moonjo didn't care much. He only focused on taking pictures of Jong-woo with his phone. Then Moonjo asked Jong-woo a scary question. Did he want to kill Nam-bok? He said Nam-bok often watched pornographic films, had a strange personality, and even broke into other people's rooms. Moonjo also praised Jong-woo as a talented person. According to him, it was natural for a talented person to kill a bastard like Nam-bok. That sentence made Jong-woo shudder. Just then, call came, and Jong-woo took the opportunity to leave. It turned out that his brother was injured and needed money for hospital fees. After the call, Jong-woo sent 500,000 won to his mother. His savings were almost depleted. At an age when he should have been living life to the fullest, he was gradually withering away in a strange city. The boarding house grew darker and darker. Bok-soon was secretly injecting poison into health supplement bottles, silently planning her evil scheme. That night, Jong-woo dreamed again. He saw himself in a military uniform fighting Nam-bok. Behind him, Dok-jong was laughing uncontrollably. Since moving to the boarding house, everyone Jong-woo met had been a nightmare disguised as a human. Finally, Moonjo appeared and whispered into Jong-woo's ear to do what he wanted. That voice echoed in his mind, urging the violent instincts within Jong-woo to awaken. He snapped awake in the cramped lodging room, a negative mood clinging to Jong-woo throughout the day. On the other side, Ji-eun was also pressured by her superior, not only assigned urgent tasks, but also forced to work on weekends. This time, Ji-eun refused, but her superior flew into a rage and loudly scolded her. At that moment, Jong-woo called Ji-eun. The superior told her to answer the phone. He told Ji-eun that someone had broken into his room, and to prove it, Jong-woo said he had seen the security footage. She quickly made an excuse about being busy and hurriedly hung up, but the superior left the room. Jong-woo texted asking why Ji-eun had hung up and if something had happened. Both of them were suffocated by overwhelming pressure. Unconsciously, Jong-woo walked to the police station door and happened to meet Jung-hwa. He gave her the diary of the missing foreigner and said that sometimes Jong-woo still heard strange noises on the fourth floor. At that moment, he saw Bok-soon standing at a distance, watching him. Jong-woo panicked and ran away. Bok-soon returned and told Moonjo that Jong-woo had just given something to Jung-hwa. She suspected that the two were connected and suggested that Jung-hwa should be eliminated. Moonjo said he would think about it later. The atmosphere between them was filled with the smell of gunpowder. gunpowder. After that, Bok Soon visited an old woman whom she called Mother. Bok Soon urged the mother to take a bottle of toxic dietary supplements. When the old woman fell asleep, she rummaged through the cupboard and took out an insurance paper. Bok Soon looked at the dazed mother and smiled wickedly. Ji-on arranged to meet Jae-ho outside to talk. She felt that ever since Jong-woo moved into the boarding house, his personality had changed strangely. Jae-ho thought that Jong-woo was exaggerating everything just because he was embarrassed to live in a cheap place. Ji-on asked him to keep an eye on Jong-woo for her. Jae-ho happily agreed, even buying coffee and advising Ji-on to build good relationships with her colleagues. Ji-on's superior saw this and immediately said that Jae-ho had feelings for her. Ji-on just remained silent, not knowing how to react. At that moment, Jung-hwa also came to the boarding house. Jong-woo's words made her even more suspicious that something was wrong there. Jung-hwa went straight up to the 4th floor. Nam-bok noticed someone coming and immediately restrained the imprisoned woman. She checked but found nothing and had to leave. Meanwhile, Nam-bok took the opportunity to try to attack Jung-hwa from behind, but she reacted quickly and escaped the danger. Nam-bok had misjudged the imprisoned woman, who also took the chance to resist and managed to restrain him. Taking advantage of Bok Soon's distraction, the woman ran outside and met a man passing by. Thinking she was saved, she did not expect that man to be an accomplice of killers. To avoid trouble, Bok Soon killed her that very night. After work, Jong-woo went out to eat with his colleagues. He saw an old woman selling flowers on the street, which reminded Jong-woo of his mother back home. The homesickness and accumulated fatigue made him feel depressed. Jae-ho seemed to be trying to matchmake Jong-woo with Yoo Young, which made him feel a little strange. The long-standing frustration made Jong-woo drunk. When only he and Bong-min remained, he directly called him a pervert. Jong-woo also warned Bong-min not to look at Yoo Young's butt anymore. Bong-min flew into a rage and almost started a fight. In the end, everyone had to throw Jong-woo into a taxi to let him go home by himself. But because the boarding house was in a remote area, the driver couldn't find the exact location. He decided to take Jong-woo straight to the police station. Meanwhile, Jae-ho called Ji-eun and said he had safely brought Jong-woo back to the boarding house. While drunk, Jae-ho made an appointment with Ji-eun, saying he wanted to talk privately. From Jae-ho's attempt to pair Jong-woo with Yoo Young, it seemed that he really liked Ji-eun. Just as the superior had said, Jae-ho wanted to interfere in the relationship between her and Jong-woo. Although a bit hesitant, Ji-eun finally decided to turn the car around. At that time, Jung-hwa was on night duty when she received Jong-woo from the police. In a half-conscious state, he murmured that he didn't want to go back to the boarding house anymore. Jong-woo wondered if his life would be better if he didn't live there. The call from Ji-eun didn't wake him up. Seeing his condition, Jung-hwa became even more certain that there was something wrong with that boarding house. That place was so terrifying, it scared people into becoming like that. She woke Jong-woo up and asked what exactly had happened there. He said everyone in the boarding house was strange, which made him always feel uneasy and scared. Just then, his phone notified him of a message. It was from Ji-eun, saying she was downstairs at the boarding house and about to come up to see Jong-woo. It turned out that Ji-eun did not go to meet Jae-ho, but returned because she was worried that Jong-woo had drunk too much. When she was standing outside the boarding house, Moonjo suddenly appeared and asked why she was lingering around. Ji-eun replied that she was Jong-woo's girlfriend. He then asked if she had come to find Jong-woo with a dark tone. Moonjo immediately acted friendly, saying he heard Jong-woo mention Ji-eun before. Moonjo pointed and told her that Jong-woo was on the 3rd floor. Ji-eun thanked him and then stepped into the boarding house, dark as hell. Meanwhile, Jong-woo could not reach her and anxiously paced back and forth. The police took Jong-woo back to the boarding house. Although the perverts lived with Ji-eun, she was not in danger. When he met Ji-eun again, he hurriedly pulled her out of there. Jong-woo blamed Ji-eun for coming to such a dangerous place alone. She angrily asked back, if this place was so terrible, then why did he move in? The two argued, and in the end, Ji-eun left in anger. Jung-hwa kindly took her home. Jong-woo returned to his room feeling depressed. Bok Soon appeared, pretending to care, and then shoved a bottle of hangover medicine into Jong-woo's hand. Not long after drinking it, Jong-woo's head began to spin. He realized Bok Soon's medicine was problematic. Before losing consciousness completely, Jong-woo still murmured, wondering if Ji-eun had returned safely. At that time, the 3 perverted murderers gathered together. Dok-soo was no longer interested in killing cats. He wanted to kill people. Dok-jong reminded Dok-soo not to be reckless, or he would be dealt with like Jia. Annoyed, Dok-soo left. Nam-bok began scheming to rally allies to eliminate Bok Soon. Dok-jong sneered, mocking him for not understanding the current situation. In fact, Bok Soon was the most terrifying person in the boarding house. That night, Bok Soon went to see Moonjo. In the conversation between the two, many secrets were revealed. Bok Soon really wanted to kill Jong-woo, but Moonjo wanted to keep him as an experimental experimental subject. More importantly, Moonjo was the child that Bok-soon had raised from childhood until now. After he left, she muttered to herself that if so, she might kill them all. At dawn, Jong-woo woke up from a nightmare, sweat soaking his shirt. Just as he stepped out the door, Nam-bok provoked him, which made Jong-woo angry and led to a fierce argument. Afterwards, he cursed Dok-jong as a lunatic. Jong-woo's words made him furious. Dok-jong intended to attack him, but Dok-soo stopped him in time. The tension hadn't cooled down when Moonjo appeared. He reprimanded Dok-jong for his strange behavior, causing dissatisfaction among the neighbors. Unexpectedly, Dok-soo, who had always obeyed Moonjo, argued back against him. The two only exchanged a few words before shrinking back to their rooms because of Moonjo's terrifying gaze. Immediately after, he called Jong-woo up to the rooftop. Jong-woo suspected that the medicine Bok-soon gave him was problematic. He found Moonjo truly frightening. Moonjo said Nam-bok caused trouble because Jong-woo had gotten drunk and made a scene last night. He also told Jong-woo that if he didn't believe him, he could check the surveillance cameras again. As Jong-woo was about to check, Moonjo stopped him and rambled on about things that were hard for Jong-woo to understand. Moonjo advised Jong-woo to live according to his true feelings, to do whatever he wanted that was the real person. Afterwards, Jong-woo reviewed the footage from Bok-soon and discovered that he had indeed caused trouble last night. First, he went to find Nam-bok to start a fight, then he cursed Dok-jong and his brothers. Moonjo advised him to calm down, but Jong-woo pointed his finger at him and said that Moonjo was the scariest person in the lodging. Jong-woo remembered that Moonjo once said he liked him, and the chill down his spine made him want to leave this place immediately. Jong-woo asked Bok-soon if he would get back half of the deposit if he moved out. She called him cunning. Without hesitation, Jong-woo left right away. Meanwhile, Jian buried herself in work and suddenly remembered that Jae-ho had asked to meet her. Jae-ho took advantage of the moment when Jong-woo was emotionally unstable to approach Ji-eun, but she did not realize his intention. Ji-eun thought it was just the senior's concern. Jae-ho used the excuse of wanting to help Jong-woo and invited her to meet on the weekend. The relationship between Jong-woo and Ji-eun was facing storms. Meanwhile, Junhwa's investigation into the disappearance case still made no progress. She asked her father's opinion, who was an experienced police officer. He said that in such a cramped space, with many cameras like that lodging, committing a crime alone was very difficult. If there were many disappearances, there must be a leader manipulating the whole group. Junhwa immediately returned to investigate Bok-soon. At the same time, Jong-woo searched everywhere for a new room, hoping to leave that terrifying place. But the cheap rooms all had problems. Strange neighbors, previous residents who died or were unsafe. After much hesitation, Jong-woo decided to ask Jian's opinion. While waiting, Jong-woo overheard a couple talking nearby. The girl said that a man without a home was no different from trash, unworthy of loving anyone. Right after that, he caught a glimpse of Moonjo's figure, but in just a second, that figure disappeared like an illusion. At that moment, Jian arrived, startling Jong-woo. He murmured about seeing strange neighbors and described Moonjo's appearance as if watching him. Those words made her angry. Ji-eun accused Jong-woo of being so sensitive that he was paranoid. He choked and asked her if she also thought he was a failure. At that moment, he put himself in the position of the couple from earlier. Jong-woo thought that a man without a home was not worthy of love. He then blamed Ji-eun for never listening when he talked about the strangeness in the lodging. The conflict between the two grew increasingly intense. From afar, Moonjo quietly observed everything. Meanwhile, Junhwa targeted the most suspicious person in the lodging, Bok-soon herself. Colleagues helped her investigate Bok-soon's past. Bok-soon had been married twice with no children. Both husbands died due to accidents. Bok-soon's parents also died in an accident. Each time, she received insurance money totaling up to 1 billion won. Bok-soon used the money to open an orphanage, then bought fire insurance. Later, the orphanage burned down, and Bok-soon continued to receive a large compensation. The current lodging was also inherited from her late husband. Although there were many suspicious points, there was still no concrete evidence. Junhwa decided to dig deeper into the investigation. Meanwhile, Jong-woo was pushed to the brink of collapse. He bought a knife for self-defense. When he returned to the lodging, the three perverts were nowhere to be seen. Across the hall, a new tenant looked quite decent. This person was Seok-yoon, who came to borrow Jong-woo's charger. Jong-woo lent it to him. He thanked him and went back to his room. But on the power outlet in Seok-yoon's room, there was already a charger. It seemed that this person was not as decent as he appeared. Meanwhile, the three killers were cleaning up the crime scene on the 4th floor. They had carelessly made some noise. Jong-woo grabbed a knife and decided to go up and check. At the same time, Dok-soo was being provoked by Nam-bok and also developed the idea of killing Jong-woo to prove his capability. Footsteps echoed down the hallway as Jong-woo approached. This time, there was no chance for reconciliation between him and Dok-soo. At that moment, Jong-woo received a call from his his mother, so he turned to answer the phone. Completely unaware, Doksu opened the door, intending to stab Jongwoo. Not long after, Jongwoo went down to the 4th floor to talk on the phone with his mother. The knife in his hand was gone. Doksu then returned and sat in front of the other two. Blood spilled from Doksu's mouth as he struggled to say the words bastard before collapsing. It seemed that Jongwoo had killed someone and was calmly talking on the phone, but in fact, it was Moonjo who killed Doksu. He did not allow anyone to touch his experimental subject. Nambok and Dokjong, frightened and avoiding his gaze, completely submitted. Then Boksoon saw the scene and coldly said, dying early is better. That night, as Jongwoo was about to go to sleep, he heard a noise in the hallway. He followed the sound and discovered a strange room. Inside, a man slowly turned his head. It was a copy of Jongwoo himself. The man urged him to run away from this place quickly. Then he burst out laughing with a distorted smile exactly like Dokjong's. The next day, Jongwoo went out with Sokyun. As they walked and talked, Sokyun introduced himself as a rapper. Since he had no money, he was looking for a cheap boarding house to stay temporarily. Jongwoo warned him that the people here were very strange and advised Sokyun to move out. Just then, Moonjo appeared. He invited Sokyun for a beer and then left. Every time Jongwoo saw Moonjo, he felt a deep sense of unease. Jongwoo then sat on the sidewalk watching Sokyun rap. The rap lyrics were about leaving his hometown to Seoul to pursue his dream. Despite being poor and lonely, Sokyun still tried to live strong. The audience applauded continuously. Jongwoo did not expect his new friend to be so talented. In another development, Junghwa told her father about her suspicions about Boksoon. She had an unusual past. Her relatives all died in accidents and then received insurance. Even the orphanage Boksoon opened burned down and received a large compensation. Her father said that if the orphanage really burned down, it would have been in the news. Junghwa searched for old news and discovered that the clinic was called Dental. She suddenly remembered that Moonjo's clinic was also called Dental. When Junghwa checked the 4th floor, she also discovered many suspicious dental instruments. She remembered that when she brought Jeon back, she also saw Moonjo standing on the rooftop. She also remembered that when he checked her teeth, he said that violent people often killed animals. Junghwa felt that the killing of stray cats was not a coincidence. She suspected Moonjo was involved, so she used the excuse of going to the dentist to investigate. When she entered the office, Junghwa saw a photo of Moonjo with Boksoon and the Dokjong twins. At this time, Moonjo entered. He said that it was a photo taken when he was volunteering. Moonjo also invited Junghwa to join, but she refused him and went straight to the point. Junghwa said that the clinic had the same name as the orphanage, which made her suspicious. Moonjo openly admitted that she grew up in that orphanage. Junghwa was surprised to see Boksoon in the photo. She asked about her identity. Moonjo replied that Boksoon was the director. She was like a mother to him. Moonjo is currently living temporarily in a boarding house managed by Boksoon. Junghwa heard Moonjo's words and then felt suspicious and left. In the evening, Jongwoo drank beer with Sokyun. His mouth kept repeating the story of the strange boarding house. Jongwoo said that people often went missing here. He advised Sokyun to be careful. Jongwoo told him to take a picture and send it back if he saw anyone breaking into his room. Then he sent a message asking Ji-eun if she had slept yet. Jongwoo intended to find her to make up. As soon as he finished texting, he saw Ji-eun with Jae-ho. The two were chatting intimately. Jae-ho was gentle, making Jongwoo even more hurt. At this moment, Sokyun sent a message saying that Nambok was about to break into his room. Then Ji-eun also texted Jongwoo back, asking if there was anything wrong when she was about to sleep. Next is the photo Sokyun sent to Nambok, who is looking back at camera. He seems to have found out. Jongwoo worriedly asks again, but Sokyun does not answer anymore. He frantically takes a taxi back to the dormitory. Jongwoo also calls Sokyun on the way. He says that he is on the rooftop and is fine, just needs to breathe air. On the rooftop, Jongwoo meets Sokyun and is given Hee-jong's wallet. Inside are also his ID card and cash. Jongwoo is even more certain that there is a victim here. He angrily says that Moonjo always says strange things and seems extremely perverted. Jongwoo scolds that people like him should all die. At that moment, Moonjo steps out of the darkness like a silent ghost. He encourages Jongwoo to just say all his hatred to someone and curse them. If he wants to kill someone, then kill them like that. He is strong like that. Jongwoo didn't know whether to be scared or angry. He just dragged Sokyun to take a shower to calm down. While the two were taking a bath, Nambok was eavesdropping in the hallway. After taking a bath, Jongwoo thanked Sokyun for helping him feel less lonely. For the first time, this perverted apartment building had someone to talk to normally. When Jongwoo had just laid down, he had to pee outside to go to the bathroom. When he turned around, he saw Nambok holding a knife and about to enter his room. Jongwoo quickly took out his phone to take a picture as evidence, but Boksoon suddenly shouted, startling him. In the blink of an eye, Nambok had disappeared from the hallway. Seok-yoon heard the noise and ran out. Jong-woo suspected Bok-soon of trying to sabotage him. The father acted coldly, then knocked on Nam-bok's door and scolded him. Then Bok-soon called Dok-jong to search Nam-bok's room, but he couldn't find the knife Jong-woo had just mentioned. Unable to keep calm, he rushed into the room and searched everything himself. Jong-woo made Nam-bok take off his pants to check. Seok-yoon couldn't stop him. He did as he was told, but the knife was still there. Moonjo was also awakened by the noise. He stood at the door, watching everything. At that moment, Moonjo also saw the knife in Dok-jong's waistband. He realized that these people were hiding something behind Moonjo. His eyes were cold, and the whole group became more tense than ever. A chaotic night ended. The next morning, Jong-woo went to work and was still scolded by Byung-min as usual, but his eyes began to change, full of anger and danger. Jong-woo saw Jae-ho complaining about his back being sore. He wanted a girlfriend to take care of him. His face changed color, and he walked away silently without saying a word. After work, Jong-woo imagined smashing the keyboard on Byung-min's head to vent his anger. The scene was recorded by the camera. After that, he went to the internet cafe to relieve stress. The students sitting next to him were too noisy, so Jong-woo spoke up to remind them. The manager of the cafe saw that it was late at night and chased the group of students away. After leaving the internet cafe, Jong-woo was blocked by 3 students. One of them recognized him as the one who reported him to the manager, and the group wanted to teach Jong-woo a lesson. The anger that had been pent up in his heart exploded, and he beat 2 of them to the ground. One ran away, and the other 2 lay writhing on the ground, covered in blood. For a moment, Jong-woo recalled his time in the army. In order to stop a veteran from bullying a rookie, he beat the other guy to death. However, Jong-woo did not regret it at all, and his eyes revealed a fierce look. Jong-woo's face broke into a twisted smile, both painful and out of control. Before his eyes appeared the images of Moonjo and Hee-jong. At this moment, Moonjo appeared right at that moment. He gently said that Jong-woo was seriously injured. Moonjo whispered that he would stay by his side. He had treated Gi-hyuk like that before. Moonjo cared for and seduced him, then turned him into a cold-blooded person without any emotions. Now he was doing the same thing to Jong-woo. Jong-woo sat in the dentist's office with his body limp with pain and fear. After getting his teeth fixed, he asked Moonjo directly who he was. He just smiled and asked back what kind of person Moonjo was. In Jong-woo's eyes, he was a dentist, a serial killer, or anyone he wanted. Jong-woo never thought that anyone would say such intimate words to him. On the other side, Jung-hwa was on patrol. She still couldn't stop thinking about the disappearance. Jung-hwa decided to investigate the case related to police officer Cha. The supermarket camera recorded his car at 11 o'clock, but the car left at 11:30. What happened in that half hour? She deduced that the police officer Cha was murdered. After the rain, the clues could have flowed into the sewer. Sure enough, Jung-hwa found the tip of the needle in the drainage ditch near the scene. She returned to the police station with the clues and saw Jong-woo panicking. At the same time, the 3 mothers of the 3 beaten students came to demand an explanation. Before Jung-hwa could understand what was happening, Moonjo suddenly appeared, like a ghost. He used money to silence the 3 mothers and helped him escape. When he got to the door of the motel, Jong-woo begged Moonjo not to do anything to him anymore, but he only gently told him not to hide anything from Moonjo in the future. Jong-woo resisted. He didn't know whether to believe or fear this man. On the way upstairs, Jong-woo met Seok-yoon, who told him that he had just detected the smell of blood on the 4th floor. But Jong-woo was so confused that he didn't care about anything anymore. When he got to his room, he thought the shirt thrown on the floor was a dead cat and almost screamed. Jong-woo's spirit completely collapsed. He curled up on the bed all night. In Jong-woo's head were chaotic images of the past and present. Words and faces kept echoing in his head like ghosts. All night, Jong-woo couldn't sleep. He could only tremble and brace himself. At the police station, Jung-hwa became more and more suspicious about case of Police Cha. She called the inspection team where Police Cha was working. Jung-hwa reported her discovery, but she was given a perfunctory answer by the team above. However, Jung-hwa still got the signal data of the police car Cha lost near Mount Changjeri. She went to check the camera near the mountain. The manager told Jung-hwa that the car going that way only had mountains and trees with no houses on it. Normally, people going up the mountain had to go back this way. She began to feel that she was getting closer to the truth. The next day, Byung-min found the keyboard smashed. He immediately suspected Jong-woo. Without saying a word, Byung-min kicked him straight in the body. Jong-woo stood up, smashed cup on his head, and continued to beat him with the keyboard. The scene was chaotic. If Jae-ho Jae-ho hadn't arrived in time, someone would have definitely died. Jae-ho sent someone to take Beong-min to the hospital. While he sat back facing Jong-woo, Jong-woo stopped avoiding and gritted his teeth, saying, "Don't think I don't know what Jae-ho did when he met Ji-eun. If he doesn't want to die, then be obedient." Then Jong-woo coldly left. It was unclear whether it was the perverted neighbor or the hateful colleague that made him like this, or maybe this was Jong-woo's true self. Sitting alone, recalling the scene of beating Beong-min, Jong-woo couldn't help but laugh. Just like when he was in the army. Back in reality, Jong-woo said, "Wouldn't it be better to just kill him?" On the other side, Jung-hwa took the tip of the syringe to see the evidence testing officer. The officer told her that the syringe had no fingerprints but had strange DNA that didn't match with police cha. The drug in the syringe was atiken, an anesthetic used in dentistry. Jung-hwa recorded all the information, knowing that he was getting to the key point. Another reporter familiar with Jae-ho's company came to the hospital to visit Beong-min. He also called Jae-ho to meet. They seemed to be preparing to expose something. That evening, Jae-ho asked Jong-woo to go out for a drink and talk. Jong-woo was cold and indifferent. Unexpectedly, Jae-ho also called Ji-eun, making Jong-woo feel embarrassed. Jae-ho mocked him for being poor and having low self-esteem. Jong-woo clenched his fists. He almost couldn't control his anger and hit someone. Just then, Moonjo appeared, making Jong-woo panic. He suddenly sat at the table. Moonjo scolded Jae-ho on his behalf. Jong-woo was afraid that he would attack, so he quickly pulled Moonjo out. He gently told Jong-woo, "If you want to kill, then kill Moonjo. Knows what he is thinking." It turns out that he has been following Jong-woo. Moonjo even knows that he saw Ji-eun coming out of Jae-ho's car. He left, leaving Jae-ho angry and not knowing what happened. Jong-woo was afraid that Moonjo would kill Jae-ho, so he secretly warned him. Jae-ho thought Jong-woo was going to do it. Luckily, Ji-eun stopped him. That night, Jong-woo and Ji-eun did not dare to go home. They decided to sleep outside. Jong-woo said that tomorrow he would go back to his hometown without bringing any luggage. Ji-eun keenly realized that after Moonjo appeared, he was like a lost soul. She began to suspect that Moonjo was really a problem. At the company, Jae-ho went to meet the reporter, but was unexpectedly defeated by Moonjo. He coldly told Jae-ho, Moonjo could endure being insulted, but if anyone touched his Jong-woo, that person would have to go to hell. The reporter was also in the room, scared to death. He sat there silently, not daring to breathe. Moonjo used Jae-ho's phone to text Ji-eun, asking for the location to apologize. Luckily, Ji-eun refused because Jong-woo was asleep. She accidentally avoided danger. Then Moonjo called Dokjong to deal with Jae-ho's body. The reporter was also bold enough not to run away or call the police, but he secretly followed Moonjo all the way to his boarding house. The reporter called to arrange to deliver the information in exchange for a large sum of money. Right after the call, he arranged to meet the next day, and Dokjong appeared. Fate brought the reporter closer to death. In the boarding house, Moonjo returned and met Dokjong, who had just come back from outside. After his brother's death, he became more reckless. Dokjong often argued with Moonjo, causing their relationship to gradually fall apart. Not long after, Moonjo invited Seok-yoon to drink wine and eat meat. Seok-yoon did not realize anything unusual until he was surrounded by strange neighbors. Feeling something strange, he quickly left and ran to the top floor. Seok-yoon called Jong-woo, but no one answered. When he went downstairs and passed the fourth floor, he remembered Jong-woo's words that no one was there, but there was always noise. The smell of blood made Seok-yoon even more suspicious, so he decided to investigate. As a result, he saw Dokjong and Nambok carrying something very suspicious. When they left, Seok-yoon was about to hide when Moonjo's voice rang out behind him. In front of him were Nambok and Dokjong blocking his way. Moonjo gently said to Seok-yoon, he announced that he was checking out today. Then Moonjo stepped forward, raising the weapon in his hand, his eyes cold as ice. On this side, Ji-eun took Jong-woo, who was mentally unstable, to sleep outside. Unexpectedly, Moonjo appeared and followed them in the dark. Jong-woo held a knife and pressed it against his neck. But before he could do anything, Moonjo transformed into Ji-eun. Jong-woo's hallucinations became more and more serious. Ji-eun was so angry that she chose to leave to keep herself safe. Seeing that, Jong-woo returned to his room in a panic. He received a text message from Seok-yoon saying that he was drinking with Moonjo and that he thought he was a good person. After reading it, Jong-woo was startled to realize that it was not Seok-yoon's tone. He called, but no one answered. Sensing that something was wrong, Jong-woo immediately took the newly bought knife and returned to the dormitory. Standing in front of the door, he thought to himself that he had to save Seok-yoon at all costs. But what made Jong-woo mad was when he saw him still smiling. Seok-yoon told him that this place was very good, as if all the horror was just Jong-woo's imagination. He began to suspect that Seok-yoon was an accomplice of the perverts in the inn. Jong-woo was about to leave, but Seok-yoon grabbed his hand again and again to stop him. He kept saying that the neighbors here were very good. Jong-woo was both surprised and scared and hurriedly left. From behind, mind, Moonjo stuck his head out. He coldly told Seok-yoon that he failed the mission and accepted his punishment. It turns out that he was threatened by Moonjo. Seok-yoon was forced to keep Jong-woo. Now that the mission failed, he led him down to the basement to start the punishment of pulling out his teeth. Elsewhere in the inn, Nam-bok discovered that Hee-jong was still alive. He took pleasure in torturing Hee-jong, but unexpectedly, Nam-bok was pushed down by him and hit his head until it bled. Angry, he picked up a bottle of wine and smashed it hard on Hee-jong's head. At that moment, the prosecutor supervising Nam-bok made a video call. Nam-bok quickly answered the phone and walked out. The prosecutor reminded him to charge the electronic handcuffs. South Korea uses electronic handcuffs and security cameras to monitor criminals. After turning off the phone, Nam-bok accidentally met Bok-soon. He joked that when she was sad she should come find Nam-bok. Bok-soon replied that her ex-husband was blind and fell down the stairs and died. How could he still tease Bok-soon? Nam-bok turned pale and knew he couldn't joke with someone like her. After Bok-soon found out that Hee-jong was injured, she immediately suspected Nam-bok as the culprit. Bok-soon didn't say anything, locked the door with a cold face and left. Meanwhile, Dok-jong was not idle either. He found evidence that Dok-soo's brother left behind that could accuse Moonjo. Time went back a bit. After seeing Moonjo kill someone with his own eyes, the reporter followed him back to the motel. At that moment, Dok-jong discovered that the reporter was preparing to sell information about Moonjo to make money. He immediately provided more evidence to prove that he was a serial killer. Dok-jong's condition was to spread this news so that the whole world would know about Moonjo's crimes. He dared to argue with Moonjo because he had prepared everything to overthrow the crazy innkeeper. That was why the atmosphere in the inn was filled with murderous intent. On the police side, Jung-hwa also had a new discovery. At midnight, she went to the Cheonjui mountain area where Cha's police car had last appeared. Luckily, Jung-hwa met a local who was familiar with the terrain, who led her to an empty lot. On the ground, Jung-hwa discovered a bottle of soda, identical to the bottle she had seen in Dok-soo and Dok-jong's car. Feeling something fishy, she continued searching and discovered a burned-out car. This discovery forced the criminal police to intervene. Gwang-jae, a colleague of Police Cha, scolded Jung-hwa for being a junior police officer but arbitrarily interfering in a criminal case. Gwang-jae thought her actions were unacceptable. Jung-hwa strongly objected, recalling that she had reported Ch's missing police car, the strange motel, and the syringe tip found at the scene. However, no one paid attention. Before the argument ended, a new murder case occurred. The victim, Jae-ho, had a needle mark on his neck. The police immediately arrived at the scene, and the body was sent to the Forensic Institute for examination. If the victim's body contained the same type of drug as the syringe tip, Jung-hwa found, the police would have to expand their investigation into the motel based on her statement. The confrontation between the police and the motel was fierce. Meanwhile, Jong-woo did not know what was happening. He stood downstairs at Jian's house. Jong-woo intended to text her an apology but deleted it. Just that small action was enough to show how helpless and confused he was. The next morning, Yoo-young texted Jong-woo to inform him that Jae-ho was dead. He immediately suspected that Moonjo was behind the murder. Jong-woo thought about Seok-yoon's unusual signs, and he was even more convinced that something bad had happened to him. This time, Jong-woo did not hesitate. He immediately called the police. However, because Jong-woo had no evidence and stuttered due to panic, the police thought he was reporting false information, and they did not accept case. Right after that, Jong-woo's mother called. Not wanting his mother to worry, he only told her happy stories. Jong-woo hid the terrible things that were happening. As soon as he hung up the phone, he burst into tears. The pain, fear, and feeling of isolation bursting out in Jong-woo. He then attended Jae-ho's funeral. In the bathroom, Jong-woo had another hallucination. He wondered if he had killed Jae-ho and Seok-yoon. At that moment, a colleague caught Jong-woo mumbling to himself. Realizing that he had lost control, he quickly left. At the same time, Jung-hwa received a report that a cat had been poisoned to death. She immediately thought of Dok-jo, who had a hobby of torturing cats, and Jung-hwa also thought of Jong-woo, who was afraid of boarding houses. She called him, but Jong-woo had turned off his phone. He didn't want to be involved with boarding houses anymore. Jong-woo coincidentally met his old junior in the army named Chang-hyun. The two went out to eat and reminisce. At the inn, Moonjo was dealing with the dying Seok-yoon, and he even assigned Dok-jong to clean up last. Moonjo carried a bag of things and quietly left the inn as if something urgent had happened. He met Bok-soon at the door. The brief conversation between the two revealed a gruesome plan. They would kill everyone still alive in the inn. Then they would take the main test subject, Jong-woo, away from there to start a new life. Dok-jong then discovered that Seok-yoon was laughing and talking to himself. Although he obediently listened to Moonjo on the outside, Dok-jong was angry at him to the core for killing Dok-soo's brother. Not wanting to live in fear forever, Dok-jong finally decided to fight back. Seeing that Seok-yoon was half himself dead, he untied him and pretended to give him a chance to escape. If he could escape, Dokjong would spare his life. Seok-yoon staggered away, but before he could get far, he met Bok-soon. Her kindness made Seok-yoon think he had escaped. Unexpectedly, Bok-soon was Moonjo's accomplice. He was desperate, and Seok-yoon was finally hit hard on the head by Dokjong and passed out. Dokjong then brought the evidence against Moonjo to the reporter. He promised to release the news tonight. Unfortunately, the reporter did not survive until then. Moonjo was standing outside the car door watching him write. Then he stood in a public phone booth and called the police. Moonjo reported that he had found a dead body in front of the park. The police quickly sealed off the scene. Gwangjae told Junghwa that the reporter knew Jae-ho, but their causes of death were different. He suspected that the two cases did not have the same culprit. However, Junghwa was increasingly convinced that the boarding house was the source of all the tragedies. Meanwhile, Jong-woo and Chang-hyun drank and talked about old times. Chang-hyun still remembered that it was thanks to his help that he was able to overcome his family problems. Then Jong-woo told his senior all the horrible things at the boarding house. Chang-hyun got angry after listening. Right at that moment, Jong-woo received a call from Ji-yeon, but the person on the other end of the line was Moonjo. Back to the night before, when Jae-ho's death had not been widely announced, Moonjo used Jae-ho's phone to text Ji-yeon to trick her into coming downstairs. Then he knocked her out and took her back to the boarding house. Knowing that Ji-yeon was in trouble, Jong-woo muttered that he would kill Moonjo. Then he and Chang-hyun rushed to the motel. The destination this time was hell. If they couldn't return, it meant that they would never return. Jong-woo didn't allow anyone to touch his woman, even the person who protected him. Before going upstairs, Jong-woo called Junghwa and told her everything. He made it clear that his purpose was to save her, and then hung up. Junghwa understood that no one would believe her, not even her superiors, so Junghwa decided to act alone. Before leaving, she told her colleagues that if they lost contact, they should come to the motel. The motel was eerily quiet at this time. The two of them walked for a long time, but still didn't see anyone. Jong-woo saw the words. Moonjo was waiting for him on the computer screen. Jong-woo opened Nambok's room, but there was no one inside. The people who had made this place creepy had completely disappeared. He was still suspicious when he discovered that Chang-hyun had drunk the glass of water Bok-soon had prepared. He lay motionless with a pale face as he slowly fell asleep. Jong-woo painfully realized that he had just lost a trusted comrade. A sudden noise came from upstairs. He quickly locked the door, but Jong-woo's every move was being watched by the army of evil spirits in the inn. The weak door could not stop Dokjong's strength. He broke the door and rushed in. Then Moonjo appeared. He forced Jong-woo to kill Chang-hyun in exchange for Ji-yeon's life. Jong-woo slowly pointed the knife at his friend, but suddenly he shouted loudly and turned the knife around. Jong-woo rushed straight towards the killers. Unfortunately, he was quickly restrained by Moonjo and thrown into the room. The two men in the room rushed into a fistfight. Jong-woo was eventually knocked down and dragged away by Moonjo. In his half-conscious state, he saw Chang-hyun lying on the floor. Jong-woo began to monologue to himself. He thought that before moving to this boarding house, his life was hell, poverty, a burden on his brother, a miserable mother, and painful memories of school and the army. But it turned out that hell was really this place, where perverted people created it. Jong-woo remembered what his mother told him before leaving. He had to be careful with strangers. People were the scariest thing. After waking up from that train of thought, Jong-woo saw Ji-yeon in a coma. Moonjo smiled like a devil. He made a bracelet out of his teeth for Jong-woo. Moonjo whispered that he would let him survive. In the dim darkness, Moonjo smiled like a devil. At the same time, Junghwa arrived at the motel. Unfortunately, she was only wary of Bok-soon. Not knowing that Dokjong was hiding behind her, Junghwa was ambushed and quickly subdued. Bok-soon discovered that she was still talking to her colleague on the phone. She calmly told Dokjong and Nam-bok to hide the police car. Junghwa was locked in the basement. Then the police came to the motel. Bok-soon cried and accused Junghwa of using violence during the investigation, and after she beat someone up, it was unknown where she went. Without a search warrant, the police could only retreat in suspicion. In the motel, Dokjong was preparing the final steps to escape. He poured gasoline in all the rooms. Then, Dokjong turned on his phone to see if the reporter had posted the news. Unexpectedly, he saw that he had been killed. Dokjong turned pale, realizing that he had been exposed and the real battle had begun. In the basement, Nam-bok began to commit lewd acts on Junghwa. Unexpectedly, she had been awake for a long time and was waiting for a chance to counterattack. Junghwa jumped up to fight back, but because her hands were tied, she was still knocked down by Nam-bok. Then Bok-soon went down to the basement and saw Nam-bok playing tricks. She remembered how he had harmed Hee-jo, and this time Nam-bok even dared to touch her things. Combining the two hatreds, Bok-soon soon acted cruelly, killing him with the same old vicious attacks. Then Bok-soon met Moonjo. He respectfully took her to see the work of Jong-woo. Not seeing Jong-woo, Bok-soon Bok-soon was alert and was ambushed by Moonjo and stabbed fatally. Before she died, she was still not satisfied. Bok-soon regretted not being able to kill Junghwa. Not long after, Dokjong returned and saw Bok-soon's body. He went crazy. His real brother and his foster father both died tragically at the hands of Moonjo. Dokjong decided to find him and take revenge. On the rooftop, it was raining heavily. The two murderers fought to the death. With just one blow, Dokjong was killed. Moonjo officially became the head of the boarding house. He was known as the messenger of hell. In the basement, Junghwa broke the rope. She broke Nambok's electronic handcuffs to call for help. The police received an unusual signal and immediately sent people to support. At the same time, Moonjo met Jongwoo again. He wanted to teach him a lesson. Moonjo still wanted to turn Jongwoo into a version of himself. Jongwoo did not answer. He did not want to obey this evil man. Moonjo got angry and immediately forced Jongwoo into the room. In just a moment, he quickly ran away. The two fought each other. From the beginning of the fight until now, Moonjo has always had the upper hand. Unexpectedly, Jongwoo was famous. He aimed for the right moment to give him a fatal blow. When he was defeated, Jongwoo asked why Moonjo did that. He covered his wound and coldly replied that there was no reason. According to Moonjo, humans are gentle when they are born, but they are inherently animals. As long as they don't like each other, people will kill each other mercilessly. Jongwoo didn't dare to believe it. He thought that even though people have evil sides, they are not as cruel as Moonjo said. He suddenly asked a meaningful question. When the people in the inn died, wasn't Jongwoo happy? Moonjo said that the two of them would be together forever. Jongwoo thought he was talking nonsense again and prepared to kill Moonjo, but he tried to say his last words. Moonjo praised Jongwoo as the best work. He then killed him and passed out. The police finally arrived at the scene. The boarding house was sealed off for investigation. The dental clinic was closed. Jaeho's company was dissolved. Jongwoo was lying in a hospital bed. On TV, the news was reporting a series of horrific murders at an old boarding house. It was like the nightmare had ended. The criminal police came to see Hee-jung to take his statement. Because his injuries were too severe, Hee-jung could only use his hands to point out the people who wanted to kill him in the boarding house. This helped prove Jongwoo's innocence. However, the number of people who died in the boarding house was too great, and only Jongwoo survived. The police were forced to list him as a suspect. The police questioned Jongwoo's colleagues about his personality and behavior. Most of them gave negative comments, saying that he showed signs of mental disorder, especially Byung-min, who insisted that Jongwoo killed Jae-ho and the reporter. However, all of these comments were without concrete evidence. It was highly likely that Jongwoo would be considered a murderer in self-defense. On the other side, Junghwa went to see Ji-eun. She wanted to ask her what she saw on the day of the incident. Ji-eun said she didn't remember anything, but in fact, she still remembered the scene very clearly. Jongwoo now looks like a schizophrenic. Junghwa returns the book he dropped. She accidentally sees the tooth bracelet on Jongwoo's wrist. The sound of the bracelet reminds Junghwa of the time Nambok was killed in the basement. She suddenly remembers what Gwang-jae said, that if the residents of the boarding house attacked each other, the way they killed would be different. But the victims all died in extremely brutal ways, and the crime scenes caused by the residents of the boarding house were all cleaned up. But the way the murder was done this time was as brutal as if it was his first time killing someone. The victim was already dead, but he continued to inflict unnecessary injuries. It was obvious that this was the act of a first-time murderer who had killed the people living in the boarding house. Even though Jongwoo was far away from Junghwa, she still felt a chill down her spine. Junghwa gradually doubted that police's conclusion was wrong. She felt that the people living in the boarding house did not kill each other. It was Jongwoo who had killed Moonjo, Nambok, Bok-soon, and Dokjong one after another. In the hospital room, Jongwoo recalled everything. It turned out that in order for Moonjo to spare his life, Jongwoo had to kill all the remaining people in the boarding house. And he did. So before he died, Moonjo asked if Jongwoo would be happy when they died. He used to despise him, but in the end, Jongwoo walked down that bloody path. Moonjo believed that Jongwoo would inherit him. He would continue to live and kill people instinctively. While in the ambulance, Jongwoo hallucinated that Moonjo was smiling and nodding at him. At this time, Jongwoo had completely turned into the ghost he left behind. The nightmare ended, but the evil had not really disappeared. On this side, Jongwoo was sitting there frantically typing on the keyboard. On the screen, repeated lines of words kept appearing. In the blink of an eye, Jongwoo's face gradually transformed into Moonjo. It seemed that the obsession from that murderer had taken root deep in his mind. All the things that once made Jongwoo afraid and hated now became a part of him. No longer the weak Jongwoo of the past, he now had the eyes of someone who had tasted blood and crime. Jongwoo had become a new seed of the inn. Evil did not die, but continued to spread in the form of a survivor. The movie ended here. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, and see you again.